Recording in progress.
Okay.
Okay.
Should I begin? Good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome to the Unitarian Church of Fall River. My name is Reverend Ken Langer, and I am minister of the Barry Universalist Church in Barry, Vermont.
Will somebody
And I
mute
honor-
everybody to get rid of that vibration, that feedback?
Still going? I hear an echo on my own.
Do we have to mute while he's talking? Will that help?
Absolutely. Everybody must mute except Ken.
Okay. So hit mute down there.
You.
How about now? It's good? It's all right? Should I go on? Okay. Today is Sunday, February 16th. It's National Almond Day. The theme for today's service is Love Starts at Home. Let us begin this service as a community of worship. And I will begin with the lighting of the chalice. This is by Eric Hepburn. He writes, "We light this flame to remind us love is the center. As we grow and connect, mature and deepen, love remains the center. When the light of truth burns all else away, love remains." Please join me in muting and singing at home the opening hymn number 18, What Wondrous Love.
Okay, audio.
Our screen had just disappeared again.
Okay, number 18. What wondrous love is this?
Shall I sing it by myself? Oh, no.
Okay, this is going to be me singing and Nancy playing. What wondrous love is this? this, oh my soul, oh my soul. What wondrous love is this, oh my soul? What wondrous love is this that brings my heart such bliss and takes away the pain of my soul, and takes away the pain of my soul. When I was sinking down, sinking down, sinking down, when I was sinking down, sinking down, when I was sinking down beneath my sorrow's crown, friends to me gathered round, oh my soul, friends to me gathered round, oh my soul. To love and to all friends I will sing, I will sing. To love and to all friends I will sing. To love and to all friends who pain and sorrow mend, with thanks unto the end I will sing, I will sing. With thanks unto the end I will sing.
Please join me in your affirmation. I think I'm still echoing. How about now? It's okay? Okay. Please join me in your affirmation. Love is the doctrine of this church. The quest of truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge in freedom, to serve human need, to the end that all souls shall grow into harmony with the divine. Thus we do covenant with each other and with God. And announcements, Richard?
Next Sunday, the Reverend Julie Ann Silberman Bunn, who has visited us at least a couple of times before, will be the guest preacher. And since our potluck for February has been foiled 2 weekends in a row, we're going to forget about February and have the next one on March 9th. And that's all I have. But if other people have announcements, please unmute and give your announcement.
Announcements, Richard, maybe I should say something about the heat here. And
Please.
they, let's see, Friday, Richard and I and Eric, and what was the fellow that was with Eric, Richard?
Eric.
Okay. Anyway, we were down there at the church. Took a while, but we got a technician there from a heating outfit down in Rhode Island, and the guy got the heat going pretty quick. It wasn't running out in the back, but it was coming up in the front. There's let's see, a couple of parts that he's ordering, and there's a controller that Eric actually had a spare. So when hopefully this week sometime it will come back and replace both of those things, and then things should be hunky-dory, they say, but we'll see how that goes. So that's the latest. There was the good thing is this young guy technician seemed to know what he was doing. He had a good way of sussing out what was going on. So far so good.
Good.
Okay, I'm gonna mute the audio again here.
If there are no more announcements, Nancy's going to play for us again.
Okay, this is Angel Eyes. Okay.
Thank you, Nancy.
Okay.
I still hear an echo. Okay, good. All right. Our invocation today is by Daniel Chesney Cantor. He writes, "To love life is to notice the wonders that abound, and to notice the wonders that abound is to be grounded in the here and now. And to be grounded here and now is the beginning of finding love for this life today. Let us ground ourselves in this instant, in the worship of all things good and right." And for the antiphonal reading, I'll read all the parts, but you can join me on your own in the italicized lines. Never does hatred cease by hating in return. Only through love can hatred come to an end. Victory breeds hatred. The conquered dwell in sorrow and resentment. They who give up all thought of victory or defeat may be calm and live happily at peace. Let us overcome violence by gentleness. Let us overcome evil by good. Let us overcome the miserly by liberality. Let us overcome the liar by the truth. Our prayer is by Melissa Jeter. She writes, "We are grateful to be in the presence of one another. We are grateful for the affirmation that being together in this community brings. Let us have hearts open with humility. Let us find our way, mindful that there is an abundance from which we can draw water. The peace of all peace that comes not without struggle or wrestling with the ways of scarcity and individualism in the world. Let us find ways to disrupt injustice. Let us find ways to accept one another while preserving our hearts. Let us go beyond thinking and suspend all judgment. May we be changed and held in love. May we recognize and receive grace, for none of us alone has the answer. Our next hymn is number 325, Love Makes a Bridge.
Okay.
I'll play the tune through one time.
Love makes a bridge from heart to heart and hand to hand. Love finds a way when love has blind and freedom bend. Love breaks the walls of language, gender, class, and age. Love gives us wings to slip the bars of every cage. Love lifts the hopes that force and fears have hidden down. Love breaks the chains and gives us strength to stand our ground. Love makes the bells of haunted birth and wedding day. Love guides us hands that promise more than words can say. Love makes a bridge that minds may shake yet not destroy. Love carries faith through love and death to endless joy.
A wise teacher once stood in front of her class and held up a $1 bill. Now, I didn't have a $1 bill, I have a $10 bill, so it must be inflation. But anyways, she instructed the class to raise their hand if they wanted the money she was holding. As you might expect, all the hands in the room shot straight up. The teacher then crumpled the money several times, unrolled it, and then asked the same question. Again, all the hands were raised. Next, the teacher threw the bill to the floor and stomped on it several times and asked her question again. No students hesitated in raising their hands. So the teacher said, would you say that no matter how damaged, injured, or blemished this bill becomes, it still has the same worth and value? Yes, the students cried out, and each got their own dollar bill. Now, I know this is a highly anxious time, and I started this series of sermons on divine love before the inauguration. Excuse me. And I've had sermons about what's going on in the government at the time, but I felt like I needed to continue this series as well, because I think we need to keep love alive in these times. So this is the second sermon in a series of 3 in which I discuss the idea of divine love in this season of Valentine's Day. In my first sermon of the series, I talked about how love is the natural state of the universe because all the cosmos and everything in it, including us, and all we encounter is already interconnected. All things and all beings are in relationship with each other, and relationship is the core of love. I then proposed the idea that as living, conscious beings, we are separated from that cosmic love because we are here to explore and create. So we are caught between a desire to express ourselves as individuals and a desire to be in relationship with others and our world. Sometimes, however, we are too focused on our individuality and lose our sense of that interconnection. We desire to be loved, but often we do not know how to find that love. Now, the beginning of the solution to that dilemma to me is the framing of the problem itself. We assume that love is something that must be found. It must be something out there. But really, we are looking for love in all the wrong places. Love is not something out there. It surrounds you. It fills your body like the air you breathe. It is essential to you as your blood or your thoughts or the cells in your body. It cannot be lost or found. It cannot be bought or earned. It cannot be bestowed upon you through control or deceit. There's a story of a Zen priest who surprised their student by offering them a full cup of tea and then pouring more tea into it until the tea spilled onto the floor. The teacher was demonstrating that a full cup cannot be replenished. It is the same with our souls. To appreciate ourselves, to fill our lives with compassion, to accept for ourselves the love that surrounds us, we must first be empty. Accept that you are a child of the universe like all other beings. As such, you come into this world as no less than any other. No matter how you may feel crumpled, twisted, stamped upon, or discarded, you can never lose that inherent worth and dignity. As the Buddha has taught us, you are not your thoughts, you are not your beliefs, and you are not your fears. All these things are shades because you are not the lamp, but the flame inside waiting to enlighten others. As the Hindu text known as the Mundaka Upanishad says, quote, bright but hidden the self dwells in the heart. Everything that moves, breathes, opens, and closes lives in the self. This is the source of love and may be known through love, but not through thought. This is the goal of life, unquote. So the path that leads to divine love must begin with the love of our own selves. We must empty the cup and let love flow in. It sounds so simple, but so many of us avoid doing what we need to do for ourselves. Sometimes we avoid self-love because we are afraid. We are afraid of what we might find. Instead, it feels better to find a distraction, an indulgence, an obsession, addiction, pretense, a deception. We are promised love when we buy the right thing or meet the proper standard or believe in the correct philosophy. Human love is always conditional. Only the source of that love is absolute. At other times, we avoid self-love not out of fear, but out of shame. We may be taught that attention to the self is selfish. But there is a difference between being selfish and self-full. And the difference depends not on what you do, but on how your actions affect others. Say, for example, you're in a room with 6 other people and there are 6 sandwiches on a table. If you decide to take 2 of those sandwiches, you are being selfish because you are denying, you have consciously chosen to take action that could potentially cause harm. If, however, you are alone in that room and decide to take 2 sandwiches because you are really hungry, then assuming you are causing no harm to yourself or anyone in the future, you are not being selfish. You are taking care of yourself, which means you are being self-full. It is not selfish to love yourself because pure love is inexhaustible. You will not deny others in claiming your own value, worth, and dignity. Nothing and no one is undeserving of love, and there is never a shortage. If I claim that love is about relationship and interconnection, then we must begin at the center of our own souls and establish a compassionate relationship with our own selves before we can find love elsewhere. Like any other relationship that is important to us, a relationship to ourselves may involve challenges and a concentrated effort, but the payoff will be more than worth the endeavor. And I'm going to recommend 3 steps for finding your own inner compassion. They are to be observant, to be kind, and to be authentic. The first step in making any change is to be observant. There is one person who will always be the greatest obstacle in finding your inner compassion. There is one person who will always be quick to judge you and tell you how you have fallen short of expectations. There is one person who is willing to tell you that you, of all people, are undeserving of the natural love waiting within you, and that person is you. Most of the decent people I know, which of course includes all of you, would never approach a dear friend and say, you know, I just don't think you deserve to be loved. Everything you do is inadequate, and let's face it, you are never going to amount to anything anyway. If you are not willing to say such things to your friend, why would you say them to yourself? It seems incredibly cruel, yet we say these things to ourselves all the time. To be observant is to take on the role of a witness to yourself. Try to step back and take notice when you are saying negative things to yourself. Let your witness be patient and kind, gentle and loving. Through this kind of careful observance, we can then begin to turn towards kindness, the second step. If you would never tolerate someone being angry or cruel to someone else, then don't tolerate it from yourself. Replace your negative talk with gentle and supportive conversations. Be your own best friend. And if you find that to be challenging, take the time to find out why. Practice being forgiving and non-judgmental. Take time to be grateful rather than covetous. Practice repeating positive affirmations. And finally, be authentic. Be the most genuine person you can be because you are a unique and remarkable individual. If you do not know who you are, take the time to find out. Every person has a distinctive set of skills, talents, foibles, and shortcomings. Define yours and then strive to live through and with them. Practice self-discovery through any tools you may want to employ. Now, I know this all sounds like some kind of feel-good motivational speech rather than a sermon, but I want to propose to you that the best way to develop a positive, loving self-image, the best way to become compassionate toward yourself and others, the best way to establish positive values from which to grow and thrive is a positive spirituality. That is to say, find a meaningful connection with something greater than yourself, whether it's through nature, a spiritual community, transcendence, prayer, meditation, enlightenment, working in the causes of peace and justice, or striving to engage life with greater compassion and respect. determining and committing yourself to a positive spirituality will be beneficial to both yourself and all those things and people with whom you have a relationship. Begin in love. Begin with yourself. Begin to accept the love that surrounds you. Begin to share that love even when it seems you are surrounded by indifference. Begin to be the sacred person that you are in the midst of a holy universe. In the name of that which you hold in your heart to be most sacred, may it be so. We are a free church, which means that we depend on the work and contributions of our members and friends. And we take this time to offer our gifts for the sacred and important work of this community.
Thank you. Back when we were,
It's on.
there's an
You're going to play it.
Okay, music to write checks by.
Yeah, we used to take time to write, and it's a little silly to do it now. But I didn't want to have another little mini concert from Nancy.
Okay, here's the offertory.
Oh, yeah. Ours is a spiritual community of compassion where we find meaning and connection together. We take this time to share our joys and our sorrows within the support of this beloved community. I invite you to share any brief and personal joys or sorrows at this time.
Well, I'll say certainly a joy and a concern that we saw Eric Friday, and he is, I would say, struggling physically, but he's been on top of things quite a bit. So he said it was good to get down to the church. It was kind of a hard thing getting in and out, but he thought it was doing him some good. So anyway, we did see him.
Well, that's my fault, huh? So I have a concern, I guess. We're involved with UIA and other groups. I'm involved with several groups. And one of the protests that are taking place in Massachusetts, I know you're from Vermont, is within the Department of Mental Health, is quote unquote cutbacks. The difficulty in my mind is that the department has received a 7.5% increase in funding from last year, but they want 15%. And so there's a big hue and cry about, they're going to have to cut all of these services and whatnot. And it just seems to me like, so this is just one department in a big, giant, huge state with a $50 billion budget that's crying because they're getting less money than they want, but it's more money than they had. And if they're crying, I can imagine that every single other department that's in the state of Massachusetts is going to start crying because they're not getting enough money for what they want versus for what they had. And the dilemma is, as a social justice person, like, when does it become like, incumbent upon the state or upon an agency to examine the way it's functioning to make things better for the people, for the communities that they're serving, as opposed to better for their own selves? And, I'm just alerting the community here that this is what's going to take place, because it's already beginning to take place, right? And the big boogeyman in the room now is Trump. It's all because of Trump. But this has been in the stages before Trump, and this is Massachusetts, one of the most liberal states in the entire country. I take that blame with a little grain of salt, but it's just a fascinating political process, because what they did, and this is typical political process, is they proposed the cuts in the areas that would be most painful for the community that they're serving, right? So there'd be the biggest outcry, so that they can then justify, people will say, well, rearrange the cuts. And then in a Machiavellian sense, right, you still get reductions in services, but then they'll come back and say, well, it's not as bad as it could have been. And I don't know how to stop that. It's like, people have to, each individual sort of is going to have to wake up their own selves and see that this is what's going on, as opposed to just, taking it all in and saying, well, this is terrible. This is terrible. The sky's falling, all that stuff. So that's enough out of me.
Walter and Beth have their hand up.
Just a little bit in response to Al, but just in terms of my own thoughts that have been going on recently. I've worked near and with social service agencies for a long time in my life, and I've never seen one that was fully funded or was able to really meet their mission. They're always struggling. They're always the ones, trying to do special fundraisers or GoFundMe or, baking cakes or whatever. And I mean, this includes public schools. And I think that in terms of like blaming it on somebody, that's always hard to do. But I think you really have to look at any individual politician or agency and say, well, what is their mission? And when I look at Trump and I say, what is his mission? It doesn't have anything to do with human betterment.
Are we done? Yeah. Yeah. Well, let's go on to our closing hymn then.
Okay. The closing hymn is number 10, Immortal Love.
Again, I'll play through the tune once, and if Jim suddenly starts singing Episcopal words, try to ignore him.
I sang different words when I was a boy soprano at Grace Church.
Our closing words are by Jane Malden. She writes, "Now may the love of truth guide you, may the warmth of love hold you, and may the spirit of peace bless you this day and in all the days to come."
Okay. Play it again.